Hey, so I'm in the doghouse and I'm about ready to paint the platforms. I'm going to do a little close-up and keep talking and explain the project a little bit more. Okay, so this project has a series of platforms for the dogs. This is the lowest platform. They can then get onto the bigger platform, and then the smaller dog will have the ability to get up into this platform, and then there's a trap door that allows them up into the top platform, and this top platform actually has a sailing ship outline that you'll see in a later project. But so today we're focusing on this, which is going to be brown, this platform, which is going to be kind of a burnt orange, and this platform, which is going to be like a harvesty golden yellow. Now, the reason why I'm taking you through the paint part is because what we're going to do is paint them. These platforms are going to paint each one of those colors that we just mentioned, and we're going to drop these glitter paws. Hopefully you can see the glitter. So these were printed out on a laser printer on clear plastic transparency film, and then epoxy was painted onto them by hand, and then glitter was put on the epoxy, and then they were cut out. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and paint this while it's still wet. We're going to lay this paw into it and allow it to touch and actually adhere onto the paint. And then we're going to wait for the paint to be completely dry, and we're going to do flood coat epoxy over the top of it. And that flood coat is going to trap this underneath it, and you shouldn't see the plastic that you're seeing now. That should just disappear in the epoxy, and what you should see is this beautiful embedded paw. And we've got all kinds of paws here, different shapes and sizes. Here is one of the pieces I want you to be able to see. This is what the transparency looked coming out of the printer. And this is one of our girls who has done one of the paws. She's left the black as straight laser ink or a toner. And then this is what she's glittered here. And I'm just showing you this is an uncut one. Okay, so when we go to cut it, we'll just be cutting it as close as we can and then embedding it. She also has done a number of small paws for the little dog's platform. And all of these are going to be embedded into the paint and then eventually overcoated with the flood coat epoxy. And I guarantee you it is going to be a spectacular effect that you will want to try. Okay, so here we go. The paint that I'm using is just a straight satin enamel made by Clark in Kensington, and it's a really nice paint for when you want to just do one coat. And I don't really want to do two coats. I'd rather just do one nice heavy coat. And I find that it works really well underneath epoxy. The wood underneath it is a birch ply, which is a beautiful wood, great for staining. So this same effect could be done over stained wood instead of painted wood. I'm a big fan of birch plywood because it's lightweight but strong. And since I'm old, I no longer enjoy butching around heavy wood like I did in my younger years. So you notice I haven't put any paw prints in yet. That's because I'm going to go ahead and do the whole platform. And then where I'm going to put the paws, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more paint down and then embed the paw. And I'm doing that because I really want to think about where I want them to go. I have it in my head that an area that I want to put them, but I know that once I see the beautiful goldeny platform all finished up, I'll probably change my mind. Okay, so the whole platform's been done. I've got it looking just the way I like it. All the holes are filled in, ready to embed the paws. So here we go. I'm going to do it right here on this corner. I'll lay down a nice patch of wet paint. Pop it in there. Press it. I want to make sure it's pressed nice and flat, because I don't want the epoxy coming up underneath it and making it bubble up. So I want to make sure there's 100% contact along the edge. Okay, I'm going to do a little close-up. Should bring this down so you can see it. Okay, nice and pressed down. Okay, great. So today is epoxy day. Yesterday painted the platforms and embedded the paws, which you can see here, the glitter paws. They've stuck very, very nicely. Today we're going to go ahead and flood coat the each platform. So there'll be this platform, this one, and this one. Because it's such a small space, we're actually going to do all three at once, which is why we have all these weird plastics hanging up, so that it will catch and it won't drip onto the next platform. If you are ever in a situation like this where you have tiers that will drop onto each other, make sure they don't. Otherwise, because this epoxy will continue to drip and continue to drip for upwards of 30 to 40 minutes, and you'll have these little dots, little mountains sitting on your platform down here if you don't catch it. So that's just a tip with epoxy. So we're going to go ahead and mix part A and B. Do a very, very careful stirring per the instructions. It's about 70 degrees in the doghouse right now. You don't want to really go over 80, so 70 to 80. And then we're going to do what's called a flood coat, where I actually dump it onto the surface, and it will self-level itself, and it will eventually find the edge and drop, and you let it drop. Later, when it's dry, you come and you sand the drips on the bottom, and then you can paint or whatever you want to do to hide that sanding. So I haven't even painted under here, knowing that I'm going to be sanding and those drops off, or those drips off. Okay, there is a tip I wanted to go over, and that is if you are having trouble with it spreading, maybe your surface isn't quite as level as you thought it was, or God only knows, your epoxy is getting a little old or whatever. These cheap squeegees are very, very handy. It allows you to sort of place it in and drag it across the epoxy. It will help smooth it. It is not ideal if you can let it self-level. I highly recommend doing that. But if you do run into trouble, having one of these handy is a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a minute, mix this up, and then we'll come back and you'll get to see me dump it. So I've got my first color, which is a kind of a brown with two metallic glitters in it, and I'm going to start the flood coat over here in the corner. Hey there! So this is the last platform. It's going to be the one that we're using a pearlescent on. I believe it's the Adam's Gold pearlescent. And pearlescent is not as in your face as like the metallics, which we've been using. It's pretty classy actually. It's kind of a subtle classy effect. And you see how I'm doing this tiny little batch here? I'm going to show you how to do an effect with it. So that's all done. Now I'm doing the mother load here. And this platform is 2 feet by 4 feet. And I believe each of these bottles is 8 ounces. And it's gonna just barely cover it. And that's only gonna cover it because I'm using a squeegee. These guys who make these materials are always wrong by almost 50%. They keep thinking their product's going to be thinner than it is, and it ends up being thicker. And it just doesn't spread as well, so keep in mind, you probably won't believe me and you'll go buy the bottle, but you'll probably get halfway through your project and go, oh my gosh, she was right. It's just because I've done this so much that I really know. Okay, so I'm going to flood everywhere except for under this cup. Under this cup is our paw print. And where that paw print is where I'm going to use the plain clear over it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start flooding this thing. Okay, so I'm bringing you in close for some spreading action here. See, I'm bringing you right up to the bucket edge here. My helper went home early, so I'm doing this by myself. It's challenging. Okay, I'm just about ready to remove this bucket. I have to just bring a little bit more around the corner here. Okay, so why am I doing this around the bucket? Because underneath there is a paw print. And we want it to be pretty clear. And by pouring clear without glitter over it, and then merging it in with the glittered carefully, we should get a pretty clear print.